And in the corner of my room, I hear this voice, and they say, hello, we're the Arcturians. We're from the Galactic Council or Galactic Federation. We're part of the Divine Council of Nine. We're here to help you upgrade because you're going to help humanity with this evolution of consciousness and eventually evolution of its species. So the more I believed, I am my divine blueprint. I'm just an image of God experiencing this place. The more I was able to experience the richness and the fullness and the love that was here. You really want to try to get into touch with who you are as an eternal being, because this is going to help your body experience a new reality that you haven't even walked into yet. You're going to quantum leap there as soon as you reconnect to who you are.
Are there any practical steps that we can do to maybe clear out some of that negativity and those things that are holding us back and build more of a positive connection?
Certainly, yeah.
This is Beyond with Heather Tesch, where we examine near-death experiences and life itself, hopefully making this life a little better.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back, and welcome back to my guest, Steve Noack. Hello, Steve.
Hello.
You just shared your fascinating near-death experience, plus all of the other events that happened afterward. And for folks that want to go back and hear that episode, I'll have a link in the description. But there's just so much to your story. And as I said in part one, it really kind of makes me realize that there's still so much I really can't comprehend or understand. And when we left off, you were just visited by these, I guess you'd call them interdimensional beings. So why don't you start there and then take us through more of your story?
Thanks. Right. So it was an interesting jump to the synchronicities I used to experience with angels and Christ and Jesus to have now this coming in. Because that's what was guiding me to certain places and certain experiences and really helping me get through the grasp for sanity. So these beings show up and I'm experiencing these apparitions still not sure if I'm being haunted, how to get rid of these spirits that are around me. Then one night I'm sitting there, I'm eating a bowl of Cheerios. In the corner of my room, I feel the whole energy change in the room. It was like the pressure had changed around my body. And in the corner of my room, I hear this voice and they say, hello, we're the Arcturians. We're from the Galactic Council or Galactic Federation. We're part of the Divine Council of Nine. We're here to help you upgrade because you're going to help humanity with this evolution of consciousness and eventually evolution of its species. And I'm like, and then they tell me I'm in charge of a grid that they're building and they're putting, these grids are coming online and they're showing me this in my mind as it's happening. These grids are coming online and I was responsible for this small portion with my frequency. You're responsible for holding this grid at its resonance. And I tell them, all right, you can leave me alone. That's all I want you to do is just leave me alone. They left, didn't hear a word for a while. Still dealing with these apparitions. They return again, probably in like next month or two, they come back again. But it wasn't until I didn't listen to them until I was able to search for some of the information they were giving me. Galactic Federation, I never heard of that. Divine Council, never heard of that. I start looking it up and I'm getting website after website after website. So probably 3-4 weeks later, they return. They start talking to me and telling me I'm a divine instrument that's out of tune. They start guiding me to correct my thoughts, to match my emotions, and my emotions to match my actions. And for me to be authentic to myself. That was one of the first things they started to teach me. During probably our first interaction, and to discard any negative narrative. And then they were also talking about speaking to my energy. They started to advise me as I was having pain, I was having lower emotions. They would just come in and say, speak to it, speak to it. And then that's what really began the journey of me. Okay, wait a minute. I'm in control of my pain and what I'm experiencing here. They started to talk about the Trinity and they showed me again the triangle, and they said it was a circuit that's completed by the union of your mind, your heart, and your body with truth. And they also started to talk about non-duality and told me that you are now being prepared to exit the matrix, basically. They didn't use matrix as a word. They used program. During this time, this was like kind of the second time they taught me some of this. It was being implemented and like told to me as I'm walking through my daily life more and more. And one night I'm sitting outside in my yard, and I'm just sitting there and I'm enjoying the sunset. Stars are coming out. I sit out there for a while and I do some breathing, and I'm getting lifted out of my body. I can feel myself being pulled. And before you know it, I'm up here and I can't even feel the chair anymore. And I realized all my pain just melted, gone. And then there's these other beings that come in, and they introduce themselves as the Sidriel. And I had to do a lot of searching and finding with people who knew about this stuff to understand any of it. And they start telling me that I'm a biological computer, that I'm basically running an operating system and a hard drive, and I'm the energy playing this character, but I'm not actually this character. They start to tell me we're going to help you create a 0-point field. So the Arcturians were talking about exiting the program. These beings are showing up, showing me how to do it. They started to advise me to take any negative charge, and they were showing me like the image of a car battery with the circuit and the current running through it powering the lights. And they were advising me to take any negative charge because it was shorting out my battery. They were teaching me that I was a quantum battery. And this is what they were telling me. They were saying you have a quantum generator in your chest that's capable of producing energy for embodiment. And you have a crystal in your third eye and a coil, almost like a Tesla coil that goes down, and it's a frequency oscillator that creates your reality. But right now, yours is being hijacked by corrupted data, trauma being stored in your cellular memory. So now they're advising me, speak to anything that's not love, any lower energies, and send it back through the heart, back through your toroidal field. And a lot of this lingo, I had no idea what it meant. It sent me on a search that I can't even tell you, but it was a search for myself. So at this time, I'm still a pretty regular person. I was downloading this to me, and I'm kind of out of my body. And they're telling me that I need to depolarize and basically reverse my polarity in my body using my energies. And this would release my ties to earth, my trauma, my negative charge, and then my frequency would raise. So as I sat back down after they were talking about direct current, that I needed to basically depolarize myself to a direct current. Some of this they would teach me along the way about alternating current and direct current. But as I sat back down into my body, here comes all the pain again. I'm still at that point in my life where I hadn't embodied yet, the message. I'm hearing it, but it hasn't been fully implemented yet. And then I realized, wait a minute, I just felt heaven again. And as soon as I came back into my body, I'm like, that was heaven. That's why I had no pain. That's why I had. And then that really started my journey to getting back there and following and listening about the how to not only depolarize myself, but release the pain and the disease and the illness I had in my body. So they came back again, and they would visit me periodically, just start speaking to me. And they were telling me that most people are locked in like a linear circuit. We think time is linear, and that they're able to be polarized and pushed and pulled through time using their emotions they haven't released yet. Fear, worry, stress, anxiety, boom. Now I'm out of my body. Shame, guilt, and regret. Now I'm out of my body. They started to teach me we were batteries, but before we could cultivate enough charge to break through and expand our consciousness, it's getting drained out. It's getting siphoned out. So I really got adamant about the energies I was consuming and what I was doing with them. And they were teaching me this data management. If you agree with this stuff, it's going to get downloaded to your body and implemented. And that's not going to create the character you want. You have to engage and start telling your system these certain things because it's already written in your DNA. The certain things were that I already am whole, that I am the image of creator I was made in, and just start reminding my nervous system slowly coming back online was the goal. Because again, I was out of tune. They're all telling me you're a divine instrument out of tune, but you need to tune yourself, your thoughts, your emotions, your actions to match. So I talked about the depolarizing, and what that did was release me from all these emotions that was tying off my energy into these loops. And then eventually the epiphany started to come, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm my future self guiding my past self through the present moment. And I realized, and they spoke of this a lot, that I was being guided to singularity within my own body, using that toroidal field, basically activating the heart space. So they slowly started to guide me to speak to all my past incarnations, speak to all the energy I shared with anybody else, all of my multidimensional identities, and call them back into the now through the Christ. Tie them up there with a bow. Basically make them go through that field. And so they were guiding me slowly, again, back to the car battery that's being short-circuited and it's being drained. They were guiding me to take whatever part of me was being drained and circuit it back through my heart. And that's really what started the alchemy and the transmutation, the activation of that 0 point field and that direct ground state. So I wind up leaving my job. Can't do it anymore. It was just too invasive being around people. I start to do like senior care, helping seniors. And then that's really where I started to implement all the things that were being taught to me. And a lot of it, reconnecting to the image I was made in. Why do I want to identify as the image of creator, my divine blueprint? Because it's hard to trap. So they were helping me reconstitute my identity within my system to know it and to feel it. And as I'm walking through senior care, I have the epiphany. I'm not just caring for these people. This is a relationship with creator I'm having through these actors and these characters. And then that really helped me. I was like, I can see creator in the eyes of every one of these people. So it slowly gave me that inner outer experience where I realized everything is inner outer. Even how I clean this silver, how I mow the lawn, depending on the pattern I use, I can use that to view myself. So they were teaching me about energy, non-duality, how to free myself, but also how to embody a singular aspect of creator within me that I already was, how to reconnect to that identity, that heavenly place I came from, and embody it in the here and now. So the more I believed I am my divine blueprint, I'm just an image of God experiencing this place, the more I was able to experience the richness and the fullness and the love that was here. It was when my images were being given off, again, my battery being drained for approval, validation, and I wasn't doing my subconscious programming to match my thoughts with my heart. The more I did that and reconstituted my divine identity, and people were just guided into my path, and I thought I could help them. Healing, entities, you name it. amazing things. But I realized, wait a minute, I'm nobody special. Anybody can do this. I just saw things. And so that's where I really became passionate about helping people. Eventually left my senior care job to help people to their divine blueprint, to exit this place and not experience the amount of suffering they are when they're in that state of attachment. So it was a singularity of Christ that I wanted within me. I'm like, I surrender it all. I just want to feel more of that unconditional love. And so now when I work with people, I can imprint their cellular memory as well as release the programs that they have stuck by depolarizing their system, kind of like no matter where they are. But we can all do it. Like, we're all this, and that's the beauty of it, you know?
Your story is so complex, and I know a lot of it is information that I and probably others will have to listen to a few times just to absorb it all. And I also know that it's going to be a little out there for some people. Mm-hmm. But what's interesting is how it has transformed you, and that you really were given very practical information and advice how to just better yourself.
Yeah, I was a video game store manager, so I kind of understood it the way they were teaching it to me.
Yeah.
And what I understood was, wait a minute, I need to be responsible for when this feeling of love leaves my center and know what brings it back, and to find the places to plug my energy into and unhook myself from certain places. But I couldn't generate enough polarity to break these ties, this bondage that was holding me down. And that's what they were teaching me, that all people have positive and negative in their cellular memory, but it's a matter of using it. And that's what they were teaching me, how to use it.
And so how do are there any practical steps that we can do to maybe clear out some of that negativity and those things that are holding us back and build more of a positive connection?
Certainly, yeah. You want to remember, a lot of the times, those heavy feelings are the hurt part of us that's getting triggered, that at one time or another had formed and never got completed, acknowledged, or loved. So I make it a daily habit of, I consider my body my device. I was getting an upgrade in how I processed and stored data, and all of us are now on a consciousness level. We're all getting upgraded, the video games getting upgraded, so that we can process and store data through our heart rather than in our body or out on other people. So what they can start doing is just a consistent practice of speaking to these energies. I give you love and forgiveness and gratitude, but I no longer identify with you. I already am whole. I am the image of love in human form. I am the Word in the flesh. And so a lot of these energies, they need love, but they need firmness too to kind of move. So each morning I'll wake up, find a tree to give gratitude to. It doesn't matter. I'll start small and then other things, and I'm growing a charge within me. I'm looking to feel it. And then I'm going to tell myself, I already am loved. I already am validated. And then I go about throughout my day, because this helps me hold my energy in my container, to not be triggered into these alternate realities through fear, regret. Again, that's that polarization of that linear circuit of time. I want my nervous system to know the only time is now. That's it. It was all present moment. So speaking to your body in the morning, giving gratitude, telling yourself you already are whole, already are loved. And then throughout the day, just being aware. Anything that's not love, you want to give that a thank you for what you're teaching me. I send you into the heart space with gratitude. And now you're creating new neural pathways for your mind and your heart to work together, rather than having that stuff go through your nervous system, embed in your body, teach you through disease or other emotional issues. And it's important to not only speak to your system, speak to these energies to claim your space back, but to reinvigorate your identity. It's already written in your DNA. We have the codex, all the codes we need in our DNA just needs to be awakened. So I want to speak to myself. I am the image of creator I was made in. And why does this help me? Because my nervous system gets squished. After a while, I feel small. My problems feel huge. I want to be able to expand at will, past the noise, speak to my body and say, wait a minute, I'm that tree. I'm all of creation. And first and foremost, be aware that you're here to have a love story, but it's with all of creation. It's not just with this person and that person and that person, but you're sharing a relationship with the energy of love. And if you can kind of be aware of what brings that in, what takes that out, now you're cultivating, you're healing your body. You're raising your consciousness. You can now hear your guides and other things. So throughout the day, I'm aware of my inputs and my outputs. I just look at myself like data management. Do I want this energy? Can I do anything good with it? No? All right. Thanks. But I need to put you in the heart field because you're like a corrupted file to me. Your feedback, your interference, I don't need to listen to you. I send you into the heart. And it's because we have a strong enough field there to discharge it, to basically transform it into light. So throughout the day, how I relate to my own thoughts about myself, my thoughts about others, I'm aware of that. I don't let much slide. At the end of the day, I'm thanking everything I came across. 5 minutes, at the most. Thank you for what you taught me. But what matters is you're honest and you're genuine, just like you're speaking to a small child, especially when you're speaking to pain, when you're speaking to energies that really you want to move. Small child, intimate, gentle, and then firm. Like, I love you, but it's time to go to bed. You don't have a choice. And that's just them teaching me the gnosis and how to feel what truth feels like in my body, taught me how to move out of these times where I was trapped trapped in the past, trapped in the future. So there was a whole energetic sequence back to the singularity. But speaking to your body, claiming that you already are, learning how to speak to the body with truth. I already am. But can I feel that I believe that?
So say we have negative thoughts. We should say, thank you for what you're teaching me, and then put it into our heart space. Is that
right?
And then same, what if there's more general things like somebody's feeling depressed or somebody's feeling anxiety?
If they're personally feeling it as opposed to doing it for someone else, that's what I'm aware. Emotional scale. My whole lower emotional scale, that's a charge. My higher emotional scale, that's a charge. So we're talking fear, worry, stress, anxiety, sadness, depression, anger, shame, guilt. That is the current that I want to go back through my heart. Why? Because it's a hole in my field that's just draining my energy.
So you just sort of speak to it and say, go in there?
Yeah, I speak to it. I acknowledge it. Because if I don't, every 17 seconds, I'm going to create another thought to go with it and another one and another one. Before you know it, I'm creating my own cage, right? So I want this data and information to be stored in my heart rather than the body. And that's the upgrade that we're receiving to humanity, because I create my reality through my emotions, through my thoughts. If I upgrade how I store and process this data, then I'm upgrading how I create and experience reality.
It's so fascinating. And I know it's something, there's so much to it. It's hard to cover it all here in these short episodes. And, but I know it's something people still want to learn a lot more about. So if somebody wants to connect with you or find out more on this, how would they do that?
Sure. You can contact me through trinityquantumhealth.com, or you can email me at trinityhealingreiki.com. Either one of those. I still have my old site and then my new site, because when I had that woman fall, I was like, I got to figure out what this is. And that guided me to Reiki. And then eventually they were teaching me more about the nature of reality. And I used to be a normal person, man. If you knew me in high school, you'd be like, no way. And so I'm still pretty grounded and a skeptic. I have to feel something and experience it. And that's what convinced me. When I started to feel it and it changed my pain in my life, then I knew it was real.
But people can also do this for themselves, correct? If they just start working toward building up that positive charge energy within themselves?
Absolutely. I usually give my clients like instructions afterwards, like do this a little bit in the morning, a little bit in the evening. But you want to learn how to deal with the polarity in your body. And that's the issue we're experiencing because we're being polarized out of the present moment. We're missing our experience. I want to have a firm enough ground to where I can be triggered and not pushed out of my body. I can experience something and not be controlled by it, in other words.
What is so fascinating, I think, about your story is that it's so kind of out of the norm. But as I said earlier, there's so many practical things that you were taught about not only how to improve yourself, but humanity. And you were kind of charged with, helping to, I guess, raise the vibration of humanity as well.
Yeah. And during that time, I don't think, because I was probably talking so fast because I'm trying to get everything in. I didn't mention the dreams, and I was having dreams during this time. These beings were visited, being on a ship, having no hair, being totally bald, having a white suit. And the dreams would be in different areas of the ship. Each time I had a different dream, and they'd be spaced days, weeks apart. And each time I would wake up covered in sweat. And then I would start to have memories of me as a light being with other light beings, programming parts of our experience, and then logging in to the experience. And so while at times it feels mechanical and unattached, I'm able to choose with my free will what I want to feel, when I want to feel it, for the most part.
It sounds like your near-death experience and then some of the events afterwards just really opened up access to all of these things which are hidden for most of us.
Yeah, I believe everybody's connected to the quantum field. So we all have this available to us, and everybody has an image that's untarnished that they were made in. But do you believe you are that? Or do you want to continue to believe you're what the world tells you are? Because that's not what you are.
And that's the hardest thing for us humans to get over, because so often, whether it's other people or then ourselves, we've programmed ourselves into always thinking so small. And I do think that it's really important for us to try to let go of that and become who we really are, at least work in that direction.
Yeah, you're much happier. Your body's free of pain when you're online. When I'm offline, not so much. When I'm out of tune from this cosmic energy that's flowing through us all. And part of the journey too was I realized I could never go back to everybody I hurt or had a problem with, but I could go to that one place they all came from. And that became my mission, to just any soul debt I had created, any energies between me and anybody else, is to give it as much forgiveness through the Christ as possible. Because that was that one thread that was running through all of us. So I started that journey of, I want to do away with everything that's not love that I'd ever created. Speaking to past lives, speaking to other people who you've wronged or you feel have wronged you, can release you from some of these patterns that you experience in your daily life when you see similar circumstances and you're triggered. So doing some of that work quantumly can release you from that charge. I've had clients who were like, hey, I wasn't triggered when I went to a family function and I couldn't figure out why. I'm like, you're not supposed to be triggered. He's like, yeah, but I didn't know what to do.
So when you say you bring it all back, I can't remember your exact wording, but basically, if you want to reach out to somebody who maybe you've hurt, you actually do it through...
For me, I'll connect to the Trinity, and how I saw it was plugging in my device. I'm grabbing an extension cord above me, pulling it down, plugging it in to this quantum generator, and then I'm going to power it up. So I connect to the Trinity. I ask Holy Spirit to come down, Christ to expand, Creator to surround me, and then I start speaking to them. And I just give them love. But I give them love exactly the same as if I were giving a love to a little child who was lost. I have no personal reference. I'm giving love to that little child part of them. Love you. I send you forgiveness. I ask that you forgive me. And I send you gratitude for the experience and the time we shared here. And you'd be surprised at how much of a change that can make in your system towards feeling peace and harmony. So I'm looking to harmonize.
And you plug into that because that's where we are all from.
Right. And that's also bringing heaven, earth, and the sun in line, divine feminine, divine masculine, rebirth, mind, heart, body. I'm looking at these threes because they're teaching me this way after I saw the Trinity at 4. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know what any of that meant until they were teaching me these other correspondence. And I see the solar Trinity in Egypt as I'm searching and doing my own study. But it's all about bringing those 3 energies into the present moment together as one.
Well, thank you. I mean, your advice, I think, is really so practical for all of us. And I think you've given us at least some starting things that we can do to try to clear out some of the negative things within us and build on some of the love that is also within us. Do you have just any words of wisdom or any parting words that you could share before we leave?
I would say that probably what everybody needs to hear right now is that everything's going to be okay. Don't put your faith in just people alone. Put your faith in love. That's the most powerful energy in the universe. It's where we all came from. Try not to take things too personal because we were supposed to be human. God, creator, craves a human story. He doesn't want perfect people who don't have any human story. So understand that everything that's happening now, it's a story. It's a quantum theater, and that we are eternal, and that this suffering is in the context of me relating to myself as just human. And you really want to try to get into touch with who you are as an eternal being, because this is going to help your body experience a new reality that you haven't even walked into yet. You're going to quantum leap there as soon as you reconnect to who you are.
Thank you. Those are wonderful parting words. Thank you so much, Steve. I really, really have enjoyed this conversation.
Thanks for having me.
You are so welcome. I really appreciated hearing from Steve, the information he had. He's just a great guy too. And he really wants to help. And his information is very helpful, but it's a lot. It's kind of like taking not just a college course 101, but one of the advanced courses. There's a lot of information. Sometimes I find with something like this is I just have to listen to it 2 or 3 times, and then it starts to sink in a little bit more. So that's something you could consider. But I would like to know your thoughts. And I'm sure I'm going to get a variety of reactions to what Steve shared. But please go ahead and share those in the comments section. And then also, if you prefer to say you made it, or if you want to say something to Steve, you can write that all into the comments there. I appreciate you being here. You know that I always do each and every time. So thank you so much for just coming and watching. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for subscribing. And just thank you also for going to my playlist and looking for past episodes. I do have a lot now. Thank you, everybody. You have a wonderful day, and I do hope I'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks for joining me on Beyond with Heather Tesch. Please add comments and questions you'd like future guests to answer. Also, if you liked what you heard, please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe. That'll help keep this podcast going. You can also go to Beyond with Heather Tesch to look for more episodes.